It's the Big Hurt and the Hit Dog. I got to give a little history lesson here. They were both first-round draft picks in 1989. People may forget that. Mo Vaughn coming out of Seton Hall, and Frank Thomas out of Auburn. Frank, the two-time MVP, 93 and 94, and then dethroned by Mo in 1995. How did this friendship start for you two? Let's go back in time.
Well, I'll be honest, it started in college. You know, we faced each other in the regionals. He was with Seton Hall, and I was with Auburn. And just one of those things, man, that this guy was a vicious hitter, and I watched him right away and was like, who is this guy? He's me from the left side. And it evolved from there. You know, we ended up going to play against each other in Cape Cod Elite, and our friendship became strong there. And then it became big time when we got to the big leagues.
He was, I remember I first met him at Auburn. He was already polished. Already knew the strike zone. He had been playing in the SEC. He was already ready. You know, I knew he was going to go up to the minor league chain quickly because he just had command at the plate much and far better than I did. So I knew right then, he was going to be successful. But I think the best thing about us is we've never had an ego in terms of success. Our job was to beat each other when we played each other, and we tried to do that. But also our job was to make sure that when we left that series, our conversations were to the success of us going forward after we left each other. And the meeting was going to be the next time, and by the next time we should have these numbers. You should be here. Your average should be up here. You should be doing certain things.
And when we're in slumps, we always tell each other, you need to get going. What's wrong with you?
Yeah,
we already had that type of affection for each other, which is a great friendship. But I always wanted to see him do well, and he always wanted to see me do well, regardless. We knew we were going to beat each other every now and then, but we figured it out that, hey,
success was important for us both.
Just to push each other also.
I'm just thinking about going back in time. You guys didn't have cell phones when you started playing, so would you call each other at hotels, or just would you talk when?
We had cell phones. Come on, we're not that old. What are you talking about?
91?
Grab you by the head or something.
They were a little bigger, but we had cell phones.
I didn't get my first cell phone, I think, till 98. You guys came into MLB okay, maybe I was behind on the time, so.
Not the 80s and 90s.
Not the 80s.
90s. All right, I take it back. Hey, Mo, let me boast on Frank a little bit, because I grew up in Chicago. Right. Frank Thomas, you can make an argument, maybe the greatest hitter in the history of the city on either side of town. Did you know that in his MVP years, he got 100 and then 95% of the first place votes? I mean, that's borderline. No one does that. Did you know that about Big Frank?
No, I didn't know that myself.
Listen, Frank could arguably be the best right-handed hitter in the game.
There's a lot of great ones.
That's what I talk about in terms of average, home runs, walks, completely just devastating. Basically, when he decided to turn it on, he could. Not a lot of players can do that. Not a lot of players can get up and say, all right, today, this is what I'm doing today. And he was one, along with Barry Bonds and probably Ken Griffey Jr., that could wake up and say, all right, today I'm hitting 2 home runs and going out and do it. But if it was 95 or 100%, he deserved it. I just made mine. Mine was a test between Albert Bell. It was my vote was close.
But all three of us had great years.
Everybody. He earned that. He was good. He was one of the best ever.
Yeah. Griff got 3 votes, Frank, and Lofton got 1 in '94. Just so you know, you guys look phenomenal. We got the MVP collections going on here. NVPcollections.com. I mean, I'm only 5'10" and 100 and some odd pounds here, so I can't look as good as you two. Well, tell me about the style that you're flowing today.
Well, I am moto jeans. I got my nice, jacket on. I always have some MVP. I'm more of the brand guy with the name. I want to see the block MVP letters. I got the jeans on to match. Moto jeans. And Frank, he's the crazy style guy, the
walking billboard.
He's the walking billboard. He's looking good. But, with this, before I let him go is, you always want to get good people, good ambassadors, good professionals, people that, great personalities, and that's what we are. We're sitting there, we're off script right now. We're not, there's nothing for us to look at. We're enjoying ourselves, what we're doing. But to have a guy like him come in, Fox, World Series, Nugenics, the things that he can do, we're very, very excited for, to lift off with him this week and bring him into the fold. He's a full-fledged partner, helping us to keep pushing this thing down the road.
And for me, it's great to be a part of some success already. MVPs out there because of Mo Vaughn and Diane Bennett, who really have set this whole selection of clothing apart. It's not easy for the big man to look sexy in the past, but now MVP is bringing it. You see by the clothing, it speaks for itself. I'm happy to be a part of this brand. I'm going to work my butt off. I already have, but we're here to enhance this brand and make it something big and positive for the big guys, because the days of no selections for the big guys are over.
I love it. I think fans love seeing the two of you together. Phenomenal partnership. Let me ask you a couple of baseball questions before you got to get out of here. If guys shifted on you both back in the day the way they do today, would you change your approach at the plate, or were you done the same thing?
Oh, for me, it's a no-brainer, of course. I probably hit 450 consistently because I'm not afraid to take a single. I didn't care about hitting home runs all the time. If they're going to give me a whole side open, I'm going to get a base hit almost every time. It's easy to hit a ground ball to the other side. And I don't have an ego when it comes to getting a hit.
Our bats stayed in the strike zone a long time. We were inside-out hitters. We would have been taking the fastball away and hitting the breaking balls. That was our game anyway. He wouldn't have to change anything. He was doing that anyway. That was his power was right center. My power was left center. Shift. I've looked at some videos of myself over the past. They shifted on us then.
Yes.
And we were still hitting the ball, so it wouldn't matter.
Exactly.
Do you think that MLB should implement a rule where the second baseman can't cross over, and same thing for the shortstop, or would you just let the guys eventually evolve into what they're doing?
I would say limit the shifts in the ball game. Put a number on it, maybe 4 or 5. That's it for a ball game. That's all you need, because there's certain guys in each lineup that are straight pull hitters. Those are the guys you want to shift on, but not every guy. It's so much data now. It's like every guy. You got guys sitting behind, first base out in the outfield and an outfielder behind him. I mean, that's a lot of data there.
Yep.
And it gets boring for the fans to sit there and watch those alignments.
Do you guys like watching the game right now? That was another question I wanted to ask you. I mean, right there, does it make it more boring for you? Strikeouts, home runs. Mo, you stole 11 bases one year. Frank, you had 7. Obviously, you guys weren't base stealers, but there was more movement.
I love the game because I love the game. My son is 7 years old. He has brought me back into the game. I just wish there were more coaching on professional hitting and how to drive in runs, how to hit for average and power. Gentlemen out there, on all the 32 teams, it can be done. You can hit for average and power and benefit your team. You can stay inside the ball. You can keep your bat in the strike zone longer. You can go the other way. You can do all those things that you're doing that Frank Thomas was, and still hit for an average and power and get it done. But you have to practice it and want to do it. And I just wish on that front, on the offensive front, they would go back to that. In terms of the shift, listen, sometimes you're hitting the ball so hard and you're making outs. I think that's a problem. I think you go to the plate and you're Bryce Harper and you rip 4 balls in the hole and the guy's standing there, or up the middle, he's standing there like, it's a routine ground ball. I think that plays on your psyche, and we need to do something about that.
No doubt. And I feel the same way with that because I have a 10-year-old son, little Frank, and I'm pushing him hard right now to be something the next 8 years because I like to see him follow my footsteps. And, yes, I do love watching the game because I have to. It's a new era. It's a new game. You have to adapt, but I'm definitely going to teach my little guy the right way.
Do you want to see the universal DH, guys?
I think it's time. I really think it's time. I mean, no one wants to see the pitchers get hurt at the plate anymore. For some reason, nationally, I think it's cute to see the pitcher swing. It's not. It's really boring and not exciting to watch a pitcher hit.
I got 2 more real quick ones for you. Number 1, should the PED guys be in the Hall of Fame? Frank, I know you don't think they should be. Mo, what do you say?
Listen, we go back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
put these guys in. Let's get past this. If you want to put an asterisk behind them, by them, or you want to put them in a different place to recognize, what you think needs to be recognized, fine. But let's get past this. One of my best friends in the game is Roger Clemens for a whole host of reasons. His numbers had him in the Hall of Fame before he decided to do whatever he did. Barry Bonds, 400 home runs, 400 steals before, he decided to do what he did. Get these guys in the Hall of Fame. They're some of the best ever. Listen, we played against it. Frank only went to 5 All-Star teams.
Right.
I only went to 3. But we're facing the Maguires and the Palmeiros and the Will Clarks and the Cecil Fielders and the Jim Thomes but all that made us better. All that competition and we weren't looking for it. We were just strong guys that played the game. But I don't take any away from that. You still have to hit the ball. You still got to get through the ball. And it is what it is. Let's put these guys in and get past it. That's my opinion. And Frank's may differ.
My opinion is, if there's a shadow of a doubt, then there should be an area, for these guys because the numbers are so gaudy that it's hard to hold them out. And you really don't know at this point who was true and who was not true. But that's like he said, if Bonds and Clemens is not in, I don't want to see anybody else in. I mean, it starts with those 2 guys. They got to get in first. And then you open up the conversation, how do we handle this thing?
Fair enough. Let's wrap up. What can we do, if anything, to get more African-American players playing the game? I mean, young guys maybe not as attracted to playing baseball as perhaps other sports. You guys have thoughts on this?
For me, it's preaching longevity, staying healthy, and, playing baseball is great. You look at the numbers out there right now, that should encourage any young African-American kid to want to achieve those goals. Baseball, it was, growing up, it was like the third sport for me because we all in the ghetto play basketball and football. But when I got my sights on baseball, I enjoyed it. I hated people that say it was boring because it's not boring. You got to go out and experience it first. And I think the first thing you got to do is get these kids out there to experience it.
I agree wholeheartedly. I live in Florida, and football is the first sport. But I think with this concussion protocol, we're going to see more of the Afro-American players playing just based on, head injuries. And it's the game is a great game. You get the fanfare when you're supposed to get it, when you're in the big leagues. You can't, we can never our game can never compete with the NCAA tournament at that age. We can never compete with, the football playoffs at that age. You only get the fanfare when you get to the show. But getting to the show, it's the best.
Well, we saw the draft last night, too.
Yeah.
Still behind in the draft process. Yeah. It's not as exciting as the NFL draft or the NBA draft, but we got to work on it.
There's no shortcuts no matter what you do.
Right.
And baseball is 32 teams. So there's no shortcuts, and to me, there's a lot more opportunity. But you have to be willing to go in what they call the bushes and cut your teeth when it's hot, grueling, tough, tired, sweaty, and do the job.
You get that reward at the end. Frank, Thomas, Mo Vaughn, so awesome to see you guys. Working with MVP Collections, nvpcollections.com to check it out if you want to up your brand, make yourself look a little smoother. Great to talk to you guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks
a lot, bro.
Appreciate it, Mark.